Obviously that we do. Yes, Russell.
Well, yeah, I'll wait for this.
Oh, I think that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any questions or comments?
I just have a comment now.
Yes,
Based
ma'am.
on hearing all that you go through to test these. There'll be commercials on television that state all these wonderful things that it's going to do. And then at the bottom, they'll list 20 or 30 different conditions. Don't take it if you have.
Right.
Does that mean that hasn't been tested for?
Either it hasn't been tested, or when it was tested, they noticed that it wouldn't work with that type of patient. With our weight loss study, if you're on more than one pain medicine or more than one depression medicine, you can't take the weight loss medicine because it messes with the serotonin levels in your head. So yeah, it's either it hasn't been tested to show, or they've noticed that it doesn't work with those type of medicines or
I always
those
kind
patients.
of laugh at those because I think.
I do too.
You should take
I
it.
still laugh at them. My boyfriend's like, you did that study though, and I'm like, it's just so interesting to see how they have to spell everything out. They used to not have to. If we remember, probably about 8 to 10 years ago, they weren't listing all the possible side effects and things at the bottom, but the FDA got on them about that too. So I'm happy to see that the FDA is actually taking more of an approach and being more involved, because for a while there, pretty much I think everything was just getting approved. So it's nice to see it's more strict now too.
How are you different in like your research and trials and error than someone like Boulders?
We do every single therapeutic area but oncology and cardiology. So I have specialists in every area. So we just expanded. Pulmonary Associates is great. They focus on just, pulmonary. NCR is great, National Clinical Research, but they focus mostly on high cholesterol and studies like that. So my business partner and myself, I wanted to target pretty much every area. I've done cardiology before, but it's just, I feel like those type of studies should be done at a university level, cardiology and oncology with cancer patients, because they can really provide better treatment in hospital than we can. So we just target a larger group of population.
So when you target a larger group, do you have medical doctors in each one of these groups?
Yes, we actually work with, and I don't know if it's on this slide, but we have, if you go to our website, you can see all the physicians. We work with the largest psychiatry practice in Petersburg. And they actually have a location in Midlothian and Hopewell. And then Dr. Robert Call, who's my business partner, he runs the asthma and allergy clinic out in the West End. And then Dr. Joseph James and Jerome Daniel, they're here by Johnston Willis. They run the internal medicine studies, so diabetes, asthma studies like that. Dr. Call does most of our COPD studies because even though he's an asthma and allergy specialist, he's really familiar, so he likes to roll out the asthma and allergy things as well and focus just on COPD.
And where are you located?
We're all over. So, I know we have about 5 locations. So we have a group in Petersburg, and we're actually in the physician's offices. So that's why it's nice to have access to them too. We have a group over in Petersburg. We have a group by Johnston Willis Hospital, and that's with Dr. Joseph James and Jerome Daniel. Virginia Physicians for Women, we do their research. They're a really big group.
Dr. Booker?
Dr. Partridge is the main physician on it, and he is so much fun to work with. But they're off of Midlothian by the Johnston Willis
Molly
office.
Brook is in that same practice.
Yeah, Dr. Booker.
Yes, I haven't had a chance to meet him yet. Dr. Partridge does the studies. He hogs the studies, I guess, for right now. He said when he retires, he'll let somebody else take over, but right now it's him. So I just do what he tells me. He's the boss there. And then we have a pediatrician, so Dr. Richard Bennett. He's down by Richmond Community Hospital. And then we're opening our main location that's going to be, we're kind of moving the West End from our main location. They'll still be there, but we're going to focus on Retreat, which is on the bus line, Retreat Hospital. We're going to be doing studies there, and HCA is really excited to be more involved. And that's going to, Dr. Banks Turner, he's been a physician in this area for a while in the FAN, so he's going to be heading up that, and we'll have Dr. Boykin, who does like wound care studies and things like that. He'll be working with us too.
Who's the pulmonary doctor?
Dr. Robert Call handles all the pulmonary stuff.
He's an
he's an asthma and allergy specialist, and he's an internist. But he's been dealing with, he's not a pulmonary doctor, but he's been dealing with, the lung disease for quite some time. And he actually looks at, and a lot of patients will get a diagnosis of COPD, and they've never really had secondhand smoke, and they've never, really had that pack year or anything to match it up to. So he looks at them and looks at their breathing tests, and sometimes it's really just asthma that wasn't diagnosed. And that's not in the case in all physicians, but he looks at both ends of things and kind of decides what it truly should be diagnosis-wise. Yes, ma'am.
What if you get in the study and you get the placebo and you start going downhill? Do they stop it right away?
So patient safeties, that's what comes first. So if you, for some reason, aren't getting better or you're getting worse, we'll take you out of the study. If you decide to remain in and you're not getting worse or getting sick and you just can tell you're on placebo, that's completely up to you. If you walk into, I love to use this scenario, if you walk into my office one day and you're like, oh, this carpet is just so ugly, I never want to come back here. It's completely volunteer. You don't ever have to come back again. So it's that, honestly, you have to volunteer to help us. We need you. We need to do whatever it takes to make you happy and to help you, because it's not about us when you come in to be in the study. And we recognize that completely. Yes, sir.
Well, just an FYI, when I told you I was diagnosed with CLL,
Mm-hmm.
that came to light through the clinical trial I was doing.
Oh, good. So they told you.
I was in an 18-month trial,
Uh-huh.
and I was getting intravenous injections every week.
Okay.
And of course, they did blood work weekly.
Right, of course.
And my white count started going really wacky.
Mm-hmm.
About the 14th or 15th month into it. And they indicated that they thought it may be CLL, and then I was tested and it was confirmed.
So that's nice to have them be able to help you find that. Because if you're like, my dad never goes to the doctor. I wish he would go. But since he never goes, nobody's ever checking his blood frequently. So that's another benefit too. We are drawing your blood constantly, and anything that looks crazy, we're going to be calling you or your physician up and say, hey, look
It started
at
out
this.
that they were calling me and wanting to know if I was sick or running a fever or anything.
Right.
Because of the white cell count. And I kept telling them, no, I'm fine.
Right.
No problems, life is good. And
Uh-huh.
something's not good.
Well, it's great news that they were able to help you, find that out when they did. I think that's a really big positive. Yes.
Me?
Yes, sir.
Did you do any work with Optivo, OPDIVO?
Who is it? Or who?
OPDIVO.
Is that a medicine? Is there another name on it?
No, that's the only name. It's Bristol Myers.
No, actually, I've only done one Bristol Myers study in my entire life, and it was for AFib patients, and it was a new medicine similar to warfarin. So that's the only one I've ever done. I've never done any of their breathing studies. And that was
My
in,
comment on all this is that a lot of these things won't help any of us.
right.
It's gonna help the people after us. And it's so important. I had those studies all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not help us, but it'll help our children or our children's children or our
Right.
friends. One of the benefits I get, I have to take a transplant med that when taking it, it makes me susceptible to a particular kind of, one of the many kinds of pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
So to stop that, I have to take Bactrim, sulfur.
Right.
Take it daily. But long uses of sulfur gives you thrush.
Right.
So I have to take chlorotrimazole to fight the thrush,
Mm-hmm.
which eats up your teeth.
Right.
But I got to live to tell it.
Right.
And it all came about from these studies.
Yeah, not every study
You
is
never know
good.
without
I
the
mean,
study.
yeah, and not every study is good. We did one study, and the great thing is, the pharmaceutical company noticed early on, they said this really isn't gonna be a benefit like we thought it was, we'll just stop it now. So, and we have to do the studies to know if it's even worth it or not. But you're right, it might not benefit us today, but it might tomorrow. My sister-in-law has a heart condition. Everybody thought, oh, you have pneumonia, take these antibiotics, and she kept feeling nauseous. My brother finally said, I'm not gonna give her anything else for nauseousness. He takes her to the hospital and her heart's only at 5%. She's 43 years old. So a study luckily was done. They took her to UVA and they put a motor and it runs her heart. But had nobody ever tried that, she would be dead probably right now. So it's those type of things, and those are more severe, obviously, than, us taking an inhaler, but studies have to be done to know what can help people and what can't. And if it can't, by all means, let's stop the study and let's find something else that's gonna help. I mean, in a perfect world, nobody would take any medicines. And that would be great. I'm for if you can find a vitamin that helps, take a vitamin. You don't have to take every medicine out there. By any means. I mean, I wish the vitamins would have to be studied too, but they don't. They're lucky in that aspect, I guess. But yeah, you're exactly right, Russell. We have to do the studies to see if it's going to help anybody else in the future. So good news is my sister-in-law is functioning. Her heart is starting to heal itself. She's at 50% now, which is better than 5%, but she still has a long road ahead of herself. But it was called a heart mate. So it actually goes in and runs the heart. It acts like a motor. Runs it. She just can't vacuum or wash clothes because it's magnetic that holds it into place. So we don't want to get messed up. But so my nephews and nieces get to do the laundry.
So you only do medications. You don't. We've heard of the stent.
Yeah.
We've heard of the what was it? The coils, the different things that involve the lungs.
Mm-hmm.
Not medication, but procedures.
Yeah, right now we only do, maybe now that we're gonna be working with Retreat, we can do more in hospital stuff. The hospitals make it almost impossible to do anything with them. I was trying to do a medicine for heart disease, and I can't even remember the drug, and it was in 2003, and I could not. I sat with the ethics board for 6 months, every week. And I was actually here. They kept saying, well, come back and represent. We'll think about it. Come back and represent. So it's just so hard to get anything done. So if you're already at the hospital, it's easy, but if you're somebody outside. So yeah, most of the time, if it's a procedure that's invasive or anything that requires surgery, you won't do it.
Procedures?
I actually haven't.
In Florida, I think they're doing a lot of the coil where they go in. I don't know exactly what they did, but
I'll have to do some research on it, and I'm actually gonna come back next month. So if you guys have any additional questions, I can do some research on it and see what I can find out about it. I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I would love to find that out. Yeah,
right.
I would really like to. Yes, Russell?
Optivo, I mentioned this, just concluded earlier study. This is Bristol Myers drug that my son told me about it 3 years ago. When their stock was 27, today it's almost 63. And it's had a 40% success rate.
Oh, that's
curing
great.
lung cancer.
That's great.
Wow.
And what it does is, when you get cancer, your body just kind of lays over, doesn't fight it at all.
Right.
This drug teaches your body to fight the cancer.
That's great.
They call it, I forget the class drug it's in here, but, and it's a big deal. First they did it with carcinoma, and such tremendous success. Tried it with lung cancer, and they just stopped that third trial early because they call it a checkmate 017 for its PD-1 inhibitor. And it's just terrific. Clear survival benefits. We've got us a big deal. This is a big deal for cancer.
That's great. I'm not allowed to look at the stocks on those things. They make us sign all these forms. We're not allowed to have anything to do with investing in any of the medicines that we're a part of. It's completely, people ask me all the time. This one doctor said, well, what's the stock on it? And I said, I don't even look. I have no idea. I'm not allowed to be on that part of things. So for the COPD study, if anybody's interested, I'll hand out my cards to everybody. It's simply going to be, if you're already on Advair, Dulera, or Symbicort, one of those type of medicines, it's simply doing an add-on therapy. All that medicine will be covered.